As Christians, it is time to take our rightful position as salt and light in this perverse world in order to transform the spiritual, social, economic, and political fabric of the nations. The destiny of our nations rests in our hands. As God's representatives on earth, we must be willing to declare the position of God in our societies, institutions, families, and wherever we find ourselves. Welcome to Weekly Inspiration with Apostle Eric Nyamekye, Chairman of the Church of Pentecost. This broadcast is powered by the Church of Pentecost headquarters. Weekly Inspiration. Be inspired to transform.
In last week's message, we learned that we must set Christ apart as Lord in our hearts so that we will always find strength to overcome any form of temptation. Joseph was able to overcome the advances of Potiphar's wife because he placed God above everything else. We must also learn from Joseph's example by subordinating our feelings to our values. In this week's message, Apostle Eric Nyamekye continues his exposition on bitterness using Joseph as a case study.
Praise the Lord, brothers and sisters. Happy to come your way once again. Last week, we looked at Joseph, the man who subordinated his feelings to values, the one who clearly drew the lines, the one who has set apart in his heart Jehovah as God, and all his actions he made reference to Jehovah. His inactions, he also made reference to Jehovah. Yet, that does not mean he was not going to be in trouble. Let's see what happened. Genesis 39, verse 11 to 15. Genesis 39, 11 to 15. One day, he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants was inside. She caught him, that is Potiphar's wife, by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. When she saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had run out of the house, she called the household servants. "Look," she said to them, "this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. He came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house." This is Potiphar's wife. The woman in shame had to say this. She has to be smart to call the servants to tell this lie, because Joseph could also tell his story. So she has to do that first. And with the cloak in her hand, it will be difficult for Joseph to defend himself. Very difficult for Joseph to defend himself. Joseph, like many other people, are in prison because the evidence against them cannot be contested. Yet, they are innocent. I want to repeat that. Many are in prisons because the evidence against them cannot be contested. That is why people are bitter. Some are in prison today because their bosses have kept them there. The evidence they raise against them cannot be contested because they are poor people. So in prison they are serving. They have bitterness against the one who has done such an injustice to them. Some have been sacked from their jobs, yet they are innocent. Some have been thrown out of their marital homes because the spouse, the in-law, or a friend has framed him up. The evidence against them is incontestable, yet they are not guilty. If you are such a fellow, please have my sympathy. Life is like that. But the God of Israel, the God of Jacob, the God of Joseph will show up strong on your behalf. He did it for Joseph. He will also do it for you. The evidence against Joseph, a slave those days, referred to as a thing. How Could he defend himself? Joseph in trouble again. But it never held any bitter spirit against anyone. Joseph is a man that we can learn from. Now, if you want to give your life to Jesus, I want to give you that space to confess him as Lord. If you do, you will never be the same again. If you want to accept him, please repeat this after me. Dear Lord, I give my life to you today. Come in and be my Lord forever. If you have said such a simple prayer sincerely, you are born again. God be with you.
Thanks for watching this episode of Weekly Inspiration with Apostle Eric Nyamekye.
In today's message, we learned that, like Joseph, sometimes good people are falsely accused or convicted for wrongdoing just because the evidence against them seem impossible to contest. Such situations could cause seeds of bitterness to be sown in the heart. We, however, learned that even when we are falsely accused, we must continue to remain steadfast in God and trust that in His appointed time, He would grant us redemption just as He did for Joseph.
We trust that you have been inspired by this week's message. For prayer, counseling or enquiries, kindly reach us on 05433 08187 or email us at info.weeklyinspiration@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Till we come your way again, have a blessed week.